Tola, welcome.
Hey, Yinka, how you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing okay. Doing good. We have a bunch of people in the waiting room. Um,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So this time I put the activated waiting room because yesterday, I think first day I was on the call. Yesterday
Is
actually.
your network good?
Yeah, my network is good. Why do you ask? Ooh,
Okay, okay, because it was kind of breaking up just now.
is it better now?
Yeah, it's much better now, much better now.
Okay. So we have a bunch of people coming in. All right, so just a note to everyone that's coming in, please mute your camera and mute your mic and turn off your camera. Please, to everyone that's joining us right now, please mute your mic and turn off your camera. Okay, we're really excited to have you on here. Very excited about today's live feedback session. We're just waiting for a couple of people to join the the call, and then we will begin our live feedback session. So what we're going to be doing today is going through a selection of the posts that were uploaded and giving back our feedback. That's Tola and I. After that, we are going to reveal our pick of the week. So each mentor gets to highlight a pick of the week. And then they talk about why exactly they selected that logo for their pick. And then at the end of that, we will reveal the challenge for week one for everyone to see. So yeah, I don't know if everyone is hearing me okay, if everyone is seeing the screen. If you are
Yeah.
seeing my screen, hearing me okay, why don't you just put like a thumbs up in the chat so that I know that you are here, you're ready, you're good to go. Um, yeah. So can we do that? All right. So yeah, I can see a couple people putting their thumbs up. Good. That's good. I'm happy to see that. So yeah, very exciting. We still have people joining us in the waiting room. I think we'll wait till 6:35 for other people to join us, and then we'll dive in. I'm reminding every person to please turn off their mic. All right. Remember, when you join the call, please turn off your mic, um, so that it's not a disturbance to every other person that's on the call. Okay. Okay, so I think I can hear someone still on the call with an unmuted mic. Please, I urge you all, let us mute our mics as soon as we join in. I think I'll send a message to the group so that please mute. Okay, good. So that we can have uninterrupted whole time. Tola, I don't know if you have anything that you would like to say to the people who are joining us today for this live feedback session.
Yeah. Well, I want to welcome everyone, like you've done already. So this is going to be our first feedback session we'll be having, and I think for me as a person, this seems to be the highlight of everything. Because here, this is where everything kind of converges. where your thoughts and your creativity is going to meet with learning. So this is where everything just comes full circle. And so if you're part of this, I'm glad you're here. If you were able to partake in the challenge we put up, when was that? I think it was that on Wednesday or Tuesday, I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But if you're able to partake, I want to thank you for taking out the time to be part of this. And for those who are who kind of missed out on that first boot camp challenge, I want to encourage you that you still have the opportunity of being a part of Logomarch, and you will be putting up a new brief, as Yinka said today. So yeah, the most important thing I want to tell you going into this is we are not taking all we won't be critiquing all the design. However, I can assure you that Yinka and I have seen every single design that has been put up. But because of time, we won't be able to critique every single one. So we're going to be looking at the first number that we get. So if you look at if you are part of the group, you'll see that it comes like you're critiquing on a first come first serve basis. So we're looking at the first few people, first 20 people to submit their logos, and so don't feel bad if it's not if your logo is not critiqued, but we want you to be able to learn from other people. And as much as possible, we would like you to get their logo entries in early as much as possible, especially now that you have the luxury of time to work on stuff. Yeah, so basically I think that's all I want to say before we get started.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you so much for highlighting that, Tola. Something else that I think I wanted to say before we dive straight in was that this is an open session, actually. Even though we want to broadcast this on a very large scale, so people who are not even perhaps participating in Logomarch, we want everyday people to be able to come and see the kind of work that designers do and see the efforts that designers put into creating the things that they do. And so this is an open session. And so next week, at the end of week one, when we are doing our live feedback session, we are going to be live streaming this Zoom call. We're going to be live streaming it so that any person, you can share that link on your social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, so that people can join and see the feedback session. Now, the reason why we want to do this, Tola and I have spoken about this, is we want people to understand that logo design is not just drawing boxes. There's a lot of thoughts that goes into it. And when people see, watch this feedback session and see the kind of feedback that designers are getting, then they begin to have an understanding of what good design looks like and how much work goes into producing a good design. So that's the idea. And with that said, I think we are good enough to dive into the session. I know we still have a bunch of people joining, and I'll be adding them as we go along. But I think, Tola, I think we're good to go. Are we ready?
Definitely.
Are you ready to dive in? All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the very first entry that we have. Yeah, which is by Tomide Olajide, Tomide Designs. Yeah. So this is our first. So Tola, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. All right. Sorry. So I think first of all, we need to go through that brief that we had. It's for an organization called Carabiner, and an organization that helps with rescuing and feeding, providing like water, food for people, civilians.
Hello?
A logo that depicts hope, that is strong, and it's visible. You understand? In a war situation, you want something that can be easily identified. So here we have this logo from Tommy Day. Well, when I look at the logo, my biggest challenge with this logo is I'm looking at the icon and I'm thinking, does the icon, in my opinion, does it depict hope? You understand? I'm thinking, does it depict hope? Is it easily recognizable? And this is where we kind of say we should design for the personality, not the name. And with this, with the name being kind of abstractish, you can say that you can't design for the name. But I'm looking at, does this fit into the personality of an organization that rescues people in time of difficulty? It looks very much to me like um, something for a kid's toy, or maybe something for baby products. You know, it's kind of very soft. It's kind of very soft, and it's hard to be taken seriously. If I see this logo, I really won't take it that seriously. Number one, because of the way the bird looks. You know, if I go look at a bird that rescues, you know, and that's where I'll kind of look at the personality. I think people want an organization that they feel has some strength. And I feel even though this organization is depicting hope, it also should be seen as a savior. And a savior, when people look to a savior, they look at someone who is strong, who is capable of providing and helping. But when I look at this bird looks like it needs help itself. In my own mind, I kind of look like this bird is looking for a mother. You understand? So the bird, the icon of the bird doesn't look very confident to me. The color choice is very soft and has that pastel type green going for it. And I'm thinking, how recognizable would that be in a war situation? So I would have preferred a stronger icon and maybe stronger colors. Um, that's my opinion with this. It's a nice logo, but does it fit the personality of what we're going for? I don't think so. If it were for a company that makes maybe feeding bottles for babies, that might work very well with this. But for a company that rescues people in time of war, I would think I would do something stronger, with stronger edges, stronger calls. You understand? Something that might appeal, communicate more strength than this.
Thank you so much, Tola. I completely agree with what you said. Um, Completely agree. And I think one thing I would just like to point out for every person participating in this year's Logo March is that the brief is your North Star. The brief is your foundation for your guidance. There is always look to the brief. Always look to the brief. And here in the brief, we want a logo that is distinct, easily identifiable, simple, and can communicate hope. And even though this is a good logo, we don't think it captures that very essence. All right. So, like Tola said, focus on doing a more stronger symbol and using better colors. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right. So let's go. Tola, you want to start, or do you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, you can start with this one.
Okay. So for this logo, I think the first thing that I noticed that really stands out to you is the icon. But the icon, in my opinion, is quite unclear in the sense that I really don't know what I'm looking at. Um, it's quite confusing to me. I'm not sure what it's supposed to depict. Perhaps maybe someone helping another person, but it is quite unclear. And I have the impression that if I am only like interpreting this so wrongly and it's so vague, it's not really communicating clearly. And so this logo, while it may stand out, perhaps even with the color choice, it's too ambiguous to communicate a message. It seems like there's just so much going on and it's unclear what they're trying to achieve. So maybe my suggestion would be to simplify the message that you're trying to communicate so that you are able to communicate that visually more boldly. And so that when someone looks at it, it is really, really immediate. The idea that you're trying to communicate, or at least the form stands out on its own. The typeface is okay. It's fine. It's good. The italics kind of makes it look like, okay, motion. But like I said, the icon in itself, takes so much away from this composition. So that's me. Tola, what do you think?
Yeah, like funny enough, this is one of the logos that kind of stuck in my mind when I saw it, but not for the right reasons. So it has been hard for me to forget this logo since I saw it on Friday. Um, yeah, I think the biggest issue I have is what you've stated. That icon is very confusing at best. It is it can be easily misinterpreted at worst, in the sense that when I look at it, I just can't help but see a man washing his hand at the tap. So I see a man's figure by the left, and I see a tap by the right. So it's like bending down to wash his hand at the tap. That's what I see. And and that's the thing about, there might be a very brilliant idea to this logo, but the thing is, in reality, you don't get the chance to explain. Makinde Joshua might have a very brilliant idea, but you see, that's the thing. In reality, when you design a logo, you don't get to stand by it every time and tell people, oh, this is what it is. And for me, this icon is just too complicated for something that should be easily recognizable. I totally agree with you on the fact that the icon should be worked on. The typeface is good, but you see, the problem is that the icon has really diluted the strength of the typeface. So I don't even. It's hard for me to see the strength in the typeface anymore, because I just don't get the icon. And those are my thoughts. I think the icon is just way too abstract for me.
Okay, sounds good. To the next one. Okay, so Tola, you go ahead with this one.
Okay, I like this. It's simple. It's simple. It's simple. I think I'll be able to recognize this easily if if I saw this consistently. I think I would be able to describe this to anyone if they were to ask me, oh, how will I know carabiner if I was to see them? And I could tell them, oh, two there are two green triangles. You understand? Just in one sentence, I can describe this logo, unlike where we're coming from just now. I'm trying to see the name of the person that did this.
Toby
Toby
Olushola.
Olushola. Toby Olushola. Yeah, I think it's clean. I think it's clean. It's a clean logo. I think personally, I would have preferred. I think if Toby had used a bolder typeface, it would have been better. I feel that would have been better. There would have been more balance to this, because you see, with this, the icon is much bigger than the typeface, and the typeface just seems to be a bit weak, in my opinion. And this is where I still come to that personality. Hope, they depict an organization that wants to communicate hope. But this is where Yinka was talking about your brief being the North Star. So it's for you to just find the path to that North Star. So you must think about it. What's the personality? This thing is depicting hope. Is it depicting hope in a gentle, sublime way? You know how people talk about, um, when they talk about, um, a soldier can depict hope, but a soldier depicts hope in a strong way, unlike a pastor. A pastor depicts hope or a clergyman or a religious leader depict hope in a more gentle way. I feel somebody who's going to be hopeful and going to a war situation should be rest assured that these people can save you. So I'm thinking of bolder typeface, maybe just adding to the stroke of this by maybe like 2 points or 3 points might just make it stand out more. But I think overall it's a clean, clear design, and the icon is easy to recognize.
Yeah, I completely agree with your analysis. And I think we've highlighted something that's quite important, meaning if you had to describe the icon to someone else, would it be really easy to describe the icon? So like, oh, the Carabiner logo is two triangles at right angle, and someone will be able to see it visually in their mind without great difficulty. So I completely agree with you on that analysis. Okay, all right. So the next one,
I
triple
think you should
four.
go first on this.
Yeah. The triple four designs. I think I'll just like to say that please put your actual name as well, so we are able to reference you when we are making our comments and giving feedback. So I don't know triple four design. So I guess I'll just call this triple four design. So this logo is simple. It's a really simple logo. Two things I would like to point out. Like I said, we need to think about, or like we've constantly been saying, you need to think about the context in which the logo is going to be done. So while this logo, of course, will be on letterheads and maybe business cards and folders and stuff, a major part of the use of this logo will be on project vehicles, on um, um, tanks, bulletproof vests, helmets, those types of things. And to that end, I think that the typeface that has been chosen by Triple Four Designs is a bit too soft, that to capture the context in which the logo is going to be used. All right, so that's my first point. My second point is that I am really not sure what I'm looking at with this logo. And I will just point out back to what Tola said, that a logo is not art in the sense that um, perhaps maybe the artist can write a little note and put next to a painting so people understand what he was trying to communicate. But your logo needs to be clear. So like now, other than the fact that this is, you know, three segments of a circle that kind of forms the letter K, I'm not sure that there is any type of, clear concept to me. So Tola, I don't know if you had any thoughts about this one.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you on the typeface being a bit too soft. You can see the curved edges on the A. Um, it's a bit too soft. The person, and that it still comes back to that person, and that's why I feel when you have a brief, the first thing to think, what's the personality? Is it feminine? Is it masculine? Is it grown? Is it young? You need to think about these things. When I look at this, this is very feminine. The typeface is something you could use for a doll brand, and that's just the typeface. With the icon, and you see, when you try to make excuses for an icon and just say, what do I see? And you're trying to say, is that a K? Okay, that could be a K. It's not really cool because you're giving people too much work to do. And people, apart from designers, people don't work on trying to interpret a logo. They have better things to do. So I won't spend too much time thinking, let me try to interpret the concept behind this logo, because not everybody's a designer. For some reason, I think just the way the logo has been done, it just seems like there's something missing. I think that's just the concept. It just seems like there's a missing puzzle to this logo. So it just seems incomplete. Just that sector of the circle that is not just there, just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. It just looks incomplete, and that's the problem. So it doesn't communicate a lot of thought, and it's either there is no thought to this logo, or the thought is too deep for anyone to understand. So we are lost either way. You understand? So and that's why when you are designing, you really got we say think, create, learn. So let's focus on the thinking. So when people see the logo and say, "Oh, I understand what this person is trying to say," and they can begin to say a story to themselves in their mind, even if that's not your story they're trying to say. And that's the interesting thing about designing. All my years of designing, I think what I find most interesting is when I design and someone can tell me a story that I didn't think about it. Look and go, oh, what I see is this, I see this, I see this, I see this. It might not totally be what I was thinking, but then it's interesting that people can say stories. But with this, I'm just stuck. I'm totally stuck. I don't know what to say. So yeah, I think the typeface and the logo doesn't just communicate it well to me.
I completely, that's the thought. So I think something that could be considered based on what we said was to make the typeface less soft and really try to figure out what is the idea I'm trying to communicate with this idea, and then to execute it much more clearer. So that would be what we would suggest. Okay, Tola, you go first.
All right. Okay, and this logo is from Nyore. Nyore Keys. I like it. I like it. I like it. I think when I look at this, what Nyore has done here is um, he has he has taken that definition of that carabiner, that hook and that they use in climbing, and he has turned it into an abstract thing. So I can see like two things like coming together to form a hook. Or when I even look at it in a more abstract form, what I see is two hands trying to come each other to help. You see, and that's interesting thing, which we are talking about forming a story in your mind. You see, and Nuri might not be thinking that's two hands. He might not be thinking of a hook. But the thing is that I can think of it in a way that makes sense to the branding. And that's what I like about this. I like the contrast in the colors. The yellow and the black really contrast each other well. Um, However, I, I wish the icon were a bit bolder, because there are like two strokes, and the strokes are not really consistent with the strokes of the typeface, the weight of the typeface. So it kind of seems like the typeface is just edging out the icon. The icon is like it has some presence, but just barely. The presence is not and when you have thickness, something that could be done to it to make it to drive the message home completely. But I like the simplicity. I think it's unique. I think it's open to good interpretation, in my opinion. So yeah, I think I like it.
Okay, so I completely agree with it. A bit more bold, to match the typeface, and I think it could be a really decent, really good logo. Okay, all right. So next we have Pro Designer NG. So I think this is a good, clean logo. Really simple. The idea for the icon is quite clear. It's a sunburst, and that is, can be recognized as hope. I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. Um, it matches well with the color choice that Pro Designer has selected for this. It's interesting. I think my only question that I have is um I'm trying to imagine this as the fave icon of a website or something like that, and to see if this would work at a small form factor. So those are my
Sorry,
all.
I didn't hear what you said there. You are trying to do what? It's kind of breaking up.
Oh, okay. Trying to imagine. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to imagine how this icon would look if it is shrunk down because of these negative space lines
Okay.
between. So yeah, that's my only concern. Sola, do you have any differing thoughts? So what do you have in mind?
Okay. I think for some reason your network is kind of breaking. I don't know whether it's on my side or just on your side, but sometimes you kind of I can't hear some things. Yeah, I think it's a good design. I, yeah, I totally agree with you with the icon. It's the sunburst, it's clear. It's clearly picked a new day, and there's nothing more hopeful than a new day. So it's great, and some negative space. So it's really nice. I like it. As I said, my only issue here is with that selection of the typeface, the font. I think the font is a bit thin, but for this, I I I I think because everything's still straight edge, there are no curves, it still works. So it's a good logo, to be honest with you. I like it. I like it. I totally agree with everything you said about it.
All right, so good. I think we'll move on to the next one. I think a suggestion could have been to maybe make it the typeface a bit bolder, so it can have a bit more weight. So
Exactly, yeah.
I think that would be the suggestion. But overall, really good composition by Pro Designer NG. Okay, so next is this logo by Toby Creatives. Okay, who went last? Tola, was it you or was it me?
I think you went first for the last one. I
Okay,
think
so
I
you go
can
ahead.
go on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of looks too pharmaceutical to me. You know, it looks like they make drugs. I can just see it on the drug packaging. So does it fit the personality of what? Okay. So can people hear us, because Jerry just said he can't hear anything. If you can hear, please just let us know. Just let us know if you can hear. If you can't
We
hear,
can hear. We
you
can
can
hear.
hear.
He has to mute his mic.
Okay. All right. So Jerry, you might have checked from your end. Okay, thanks everyone. So okay, we'll go back to it. So I think everyone can hear. It kind of looks too pharmaceutical. You understand? It has that pharmacy type kind of thing. Um, yeah. So in my opinion, not a bad logo, but I think it's something that should be sold to a pharmacy. But for war situation, yeah, I get the idea. You understand? I get the idea. I get the idea. Um, it has that red cross, but it's a green cross instead, which for me feels like, I feel if you're going to do something that Red Cross also does, you want to stand out from them. You understand? So you want it to be easily identifiable. So I don't think it suits the brief in terms of personality. Um, and I think the choice of colors hasn't really helped it to even stand out from that pharmacy look. So I just feel it's a good logo. It's all right, but I just feel personality-wise it doesn't suit this. So it's like you have a very beautiful pair of shoes, but they don't fit you. So you just keep them for your brother when he grows up. But this doesn't fit the personality of the brand we're going for, and I really wish it did,
Yeah.
because the concept isn't bad.
Yeah, it isn't bad. Execution wise, I would only query the thickness of the petals because they seem a bit too delicate. When you reduce the size of this, it will completely or more or less disappear.
Yeah.
So that's just the technical point. Really good composition, looks really good, but does it fit the personality like Tola said? Maybe not. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Sorry about the network issues. I know someone is saying that my network is breaking. I'm trying to see if I can hop onto a better network, but I hope it's better now. So if you can hear
It's
me,
better
just
now.
put a, yeah, okay, good. All right, so the next one that we're going to be doing is Carabina by Olatubosun Maiwa. Okay, good. A simple composition, interesting looking. I like it, seems cohesive and put together. First thing I'll query is the choice to make the eye in Carabina curvy. I don't know if there's a specific concept to that because everything else seems, apart from the curve of the icon, everything else seems more straight. I don't know if you get it, especially compared to the other. Oh, is that my eye? Anyways, I think that's curvy. The icon in itself is also is interesting. It's a good icon, I think.
Oh, true.
Yeah, you can see the
Yeah,
curve, right?
yeah, I can see the curve now. Yeah, like
So
they don't belong in the same family.
it doesn't belong in the same farm. It's like it came and just
Mm,
squeezed in with
mm.
that one, which is I don't know if that was a conscious choice on the part of Olatubosun, but the icon is open to interpretation, but not particularly in a bad way. It could be like a horizon and some kind of like rolling fields or something like that. My only thought is that um, probably not as bold as I would have liked it to be. But yeah, but that's it. It's a clean composition, weird choice for the eye, and perhaps maybe make the icon bolder. So something I would like to also say is how you would see that a lot of the themes are occurring over and over and over again. We keep saying the same points. It's either we're talking about the personality or we're talking about and matching the personality of the brief or the brand, or whether we are talking about it being bold enough, or perhaps maybe your typeface choice that is different from your icon choice. So I think it's very good for everyone that's listening to be able to, group all these different, you know, feedback into these buckets and, make sense of it. But yeah, Tola, I don't know if you had anything else to contribute to this one.
Yeah, I think. I think first of all, I'm very impressed that you caught that eye because I didn't see that the first time at all. But that's really true. It's curved, and that's why we need to be careful about even your font because every other thing is sharp and cut clean cut, but that eye just seems to be beveled around the edges. So and that alone can just sway someone's thoughts of saying this doesn't look so good. And even if your client is not technical, they can just tell that there's something throwing off the balance. And with that eye, kind of throws off the balance there. But that's technical. I think uh, it's interesting that you went first on this because you kind of swayed my mind on this. I didn't like it at all looking at it. But when you said the whole horizon, rolling hills, I'm like, okay, how my body was thinking, but I didn't like it at first. Because I was thinking of how would this icon look on its own if they didn't write Carabiner? Would it be interesting? You know, and that's where I kind of feel like they're just two elements that didn't merge well together. You can see that the arc and the V-like thing under it, they're just two individual things that don't seem to be communicating in any way. They've not intersected, they just don't seem to communicate or to marry each other well. So I'm thinking the whole icon on its own, I'm trying with my hands now to block out carabiner under it, and it just seems like a very weak icon on its own. It's not a circle, it's not a triangle, it's not a square, it's just something. And then one thing I would say right now is um, and we've said it all time and time again, but I just feel it's a bit too, it just seems a bit too flimsy. Like the lines are too thin. So it just seems like it can fall apart. It doesn't seem like it holds well, it doesn't seem confident, in my opinion. Choice of color, not bad. I just wish the idea were clearer.
Okay, all right. That's good. I think I completely get what you said about the icon, but I still think, and I think my final thought would be this is unfinished at best. And
Mm,
perhaps there
mm,
could be some more exploration that could be done and a much better
yeah,
icon could come out of it.
yeah. I would love to see the mock-up of this logo. How it's going to mock it up, how they're going to brand it, as in just seems like something that just take away one and everything falls apart. Take away the name, everything falls apart. Take away the arc, everything falls apart. Take away that V stuff, everything falls apart. So everything is, so I don't see how it's easy to brand this thing without putting slapping the full logo on
Yeah.
whatever thing. You understand?
Okay. So, I mean, that's something that Olatubosu might be interested in doing. Perhaps if you want to, if you have the time, you can mock this up and post it in the group, and let's see how that looks like. if you are interested in it. But yeah, thank you so much for your feedback, Tola. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, really quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Too 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 weak, in my
Yeah,
opinion. If I'm gonna
yeah,
go really quickly, it's too weak. The lines are too thin. It doesn't seem like we are still in the sketch phase. It's still like we are still sketching, and we're going to arrive at the solution like 10 steps later. Not even the next step is going to be there, like 10 steps later, because it just seems like I'm not sure. Let me sketch this and see if I can sketch. No. And the idea would have been good. This butterfly thing might have been unique. You understand? Because nobody has done that so far. And a butterfly is a good symbol of hope. You understand? Starts out as something, ends up as something more beautiful. So it's okay. But the execution is not just there. It just seems a bit too weak. And you can tell a lot about a designer by the way they present their work. And I can tell that this person is not confident as a designer yet. So this person might have a few years of experience, if up to a year at all. So yeah, it might just be giving yourself more time to build that confidence. But that confidence is very important because it comes across in your work.
yeah. I'm pretty sure I can see that Ovie is on the call. So yeah, I hope you're taking this to heart where everything that Tola has said. There's nothing else for me to add. I think Tola covered everything really completely. Okay, so this one is from Oluwasegun Uni. Okay, so really quickly, the first point is the choice of color, especially for the typeface. First of all, there's not enough contrast between it and the background. So, first of all, I have to squint to even really I see it, but it does something to my brain.
Like it's vanishing the more you look at
yes, the more you see, the less you understand. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the truth is, as a designer, I know the problem. But to a non-designer, their brain will interpret it that there's just something wrong with this logo, with this company, there's just something wrong. And here's the power about logos, that it's very easy for especially a non-designer to attribute the attributes of the logo to the company. So if the logo seems one kind, say, this one kind company, Seth, it may not always be the case, but human beings are so irrational that sometimes we take these shortcuts in logic. Do you understand? So my first point, there's a lack of contrast in this typeface. Perhaps if Oluwasegun had, and this is something that you need to think about, what is the value, the color value, and how does it interact with the background? So Oluwasegun, if you're on the call, go and study color values and how, there needs to be sufficient contrast between your foreground and your background. So that's the first point. The second point is this icon seems unintentionally insidious. And I don't know how to break it down further. It's just that this big X, I'm sorry, it just, right? Imagine someone with a bulletproof vest with the X on the chest.
It looks very villainous.
It looks
like a villain's icon, not like someone that's going to save you.
Exactly. And that's why I said that it is unintentionally insidious. It doesn't, I'm sure the motive or the intent of Oluwasegun, the designer, wasn't to be villainous. And obviously that's not what the brief called for. But we can see that there was a bit of a misinterpretation between what the brief called for and what we have arrived at. Not sure what the concept is. So whether it's like red cross, green cross, but at an angle. But I think we've ended up with something that could be strongly mistaken for something quite bad.
Yeah. And that's the thing about design, where you kind of look just a little tweak will communicate something else. You see, if you just turn that thing up and it look more like a cross, it might look more hopeful. But just it being at that slight angle, the same design now looks villainous. You understand? So the difference between an X and a cross is just the orientation. But a cross means more of danger than than an X means communicates more danger than a cross. Imagine if the red cross was on its side, it wouldn't look as hopeful as it does standing upright. So those are things you got to think about, and everything you said, Yinka, I think is very much on point here without over emphasizing what has been said.
Okay. Next one.
Okay, this is me going.
Yep.
Whoa. First of all, what strikes me is the difference in the weight of that K and every other character there. The weight difference is just too apparent. I don't know why that is. That K just seems to be like some points thicker than the ARABINA. Yeah, the icon is not bad. The icon is not bad. It's the ribbon there. The icon is not bad. I just feel my biggest issue is with that typeface where you have the K not consistent with other things. And which is what Yinka has said. These things that we do with logos go a long way in affecting the perception. So when the characters of the typeface are not consistent, kind of subliminally tells me that this company or this organization will not be consistent in their service. You understand? If something looks shoddy and attention not paid to detail, I just communicate everything to the company itself. So no, I just feel if I just increase the stroke of the other characters or reduce the stroke of the K, but I would rather increase the stroke of the other characters. Steven might have had something more interesting.
Sounds good. I think there's nothing else for me to add. So the next one we have is from Michael Ajayi, Jags Creative. Really, I think it's an interesting composition. My first thought is there seems to be a discrepancy between the typeface choice and the icon. The icon seems bold, strong with like these curved angles, and then the typeface seems a lot more flowy, curvy, soft, I think is the word. And so that discrepancy to me is quite obvious. But an interesting composition, perhaps choosing a typeface that matches the icon would be better. On the second note, I'm not sure about what this icon means, which, in itself, the truth is with branding, you can attribute character to an icon, like the swoosh. Well, the swoosh had meaning already, but there are some symbols that the company or the brand attributes meaning to it, which could be this case, but I'm not really sure. Tola, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you in that mismatch between the icon and the typeface. That icon is such a beautiful icon, though, so unique. Whether it works well for this, I'm not sure, but I think it's one of those icons that could work over time. But it definitely is unique. You understand? It's unique. It has this. If I were looking at it right now, if I had a plumbing company, this would be a great icon. A plumbing company, a construction company works well. It's such a beautiful icon. However, it doesn't match the typeface. And another typeface is he has chosen a very soft typeface that's rounded edges and stuff, and just doesn't work with this. And I think I totally agree with what you said on this. I just feel you should have taken more time to choose a more appropriate typeface. And even though I look at it right now, does it communicate hope? No, but could it communicate hope over time if used the right way? I think so. But just the biggest issue is just that mismatch between the typeface and the icon.
Exactly. Sounds good. Okay. Solid, the brand. So like I was saying to everyone, if for the next week, please try to put your actual name in addition to your Instagram handle, just so that we're able to refer to you by your actual name. All right, Tola, go ahead.
Carabiner. Okay. He's done something intelligent. where he's trying to use that K and that B in that icon. It's very intelligent. I like what he's done. Does it work for this brand? Personally, I don't think so. I keep talking about this personality thing. Like we've seen some good designs, but I really think about this personality. And that's where I feel for those that haven't watched the video we did for the boot camp last was it on Wednesday? Go back and watch it. And it gets to a point where you start to do like a mood board and see other logos that have the look and feel you're going for, and just watch what they've done in terms of their typeface, in terms of their icons and stuff like that. Don't think you know what to prefer. You understand? There's a lot of help out there. So and then I also said look at things that can inspire or influence you, and kind of think put this on a helmet, put it in, just look for a situation of rubble in the background, and this on a helmet, on a tank, you understand, on a van, on a bulletproof vest. Does it go? Not really. You understand? This is just kind of very soft, and I'll tell you what's coming to my mind when I look at it. I kind of think of a toilet roll company. That's how soft it is. A tissue company. You understand? So it's beautiful, but does it work for this? Not in my opinion. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. In my opinion, it's beautiful, but it doesn't work for the personality I'm going for.
Yeah, the other thing I would like to just point out is the choice to separate the Kara and the Bina makes it look like it's two words. I don't think that is ideal for the brand to kind of like highlight Kara above Bina because it has no meaning and would just lead to confusion of some sort. So perhaps stick with what's on the brand and make sure that it's consistent and you're not intentionally or unintentionally adding focus on one part of the name. Okay, so that's I agree with everything else Tola said. Okay, so this one is by Ola Olua. Yeah, I think I'm going. This is interesting. The first point, the first thing I would like to say is I think the typeface is being overshadowed completely by this icon. First point. The second point is that the icon is unnecessarily complicated in a way that's also kind of confusing, meaning that I'm not sure, other than the shield, I'm not sure what else to make of what is in there. There's kind of like a K, there's kind of like a hook. Is there like a G on its side? So just like one of the other logos that we have done, there is, either a lot of idea or just like random experimentation in this icon. And that's my overall view. What do you think, Tola? Just really quickly. Hello, Tola? Hello?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think looking at this logo from experience, I can tell that this person. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Tola, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, it seems to be breaking. I don't know whether it's from my end. But I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So Yinka is the one that is off. Yinka, can you hear me? Okay, all right. So with this logo, I kind of looked at it and it's obvious from seeing so many logos and entire share from my end. I think I still have the job. Okay, Yinka, are you back with us? Hey, Yinka, can you hear me? I'm not sure if Yinka can hear me, but let me go back
Wait,
out.
hold on. Yes, sorry
Okay, you
guys.
can hear me. All right.
Really,
Okay.
really sorry for the break transmission. Let me share my screen once more. Okay, can everyone see my screen now? Tola, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good, good. All right, so go ahead, Tola. I think you might have been saying something.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying that I like the colors. I like that yellow that the person has chosen. Looks really really bright. Communicates a lot of hope. But I just feel the concept in itself could have been clearer and the execution could have been better.
All right, sounds good. Olaoluwa, I hope you're able to take that to heart. Okay, next.
All right, with this one,
yeah.
Carabiner, the person has decided to go literal. Who's this? Swift and bold. Okay, as Yinka said, let's use our real name so we can address you directly. It's kind of too literal. You have that hook there. The execution is not bad. I just wish it was more than just placing the hook. You understand there? The execution is not bad. Choice of colors not bad. It's just that it just seems a little too simple, and then it's now more like a construction company. You understand? Than it is humanitarian, and that's where we need to really read the brief. The brief is very important. As Yinka said, brief is your North Star. And that's where I think people got carried away with the definition of or the inspiration behind the name carabiner. And when I said, oh, it's this thing that is a hook that secures climbers from falling. But what you realize is that that was not said in the brief. That was just said when you asked the question. But it wasn't said in the brief because it wasn't important information per se. You understand? So, and that's how it is sometimes with clients. It could have been the fact that the person chose to call the company Carabiner because they enjoy mountain climbing and just wanted to be an homage to what they enjoy doing. But they didn't want to transfer it to how the company looked. So you see, it's more humanitarian than it is about climbing. You understand? So I feel that hook was unnecessary. And it's unfortunate because the typeface is pretty clean, pretty nice. I like the weight, but I just feel that hook just seems a little bit just get a vector of a hook and put it there, and there's nothing more to it. And it's not strong as an icon on its own.
Yeah, I think the word I would say, and probably you might have thought this, but I didn't want to say it, is that the word is a bit lazy. Is probably what I would go with. So I think one of the things we should focus on during this challenge is to dig deep, to really dig deep when we're coming up with concepts, and to make sure that what we finally have reflects, the depth of thought. Logomarch 4 is about think, create, learn. Let's focus on that thinking part. Okay. So next is Carabiner by Z. I think Z is even on the call right now. So
yeah, Zed's on the call.
Yeah, I already spoke about the typeface choice is good. I like that. I already spoke about doing something to the name that was not in the brief. So for instance, separating Kara and Bina to the point where just looking at it, you're seeing this as two different words that they have put together. And that's what in design, you are able to separate things or show hierarchy or show whether things are together by using the same color or by using the size or by, all those types of principles. And in this case, we have separated this into two words, which is Kara and Bina, which was not in the brief and was wrong. The second thing that I have to say is the icon is an interesting icon, but first of all, I'm querying why it's at the end first. And I'm just wondering, does this icon go with this typeface? And I don't really think so. What I see for this icon is if this were for Carabiner Airlines. If this were for Carabiner Airlines, then I would be, yes, 100%. This is an amazing logo for Caribbean Airlines, but does it match with the brief that was given to us? I don't really think so, and I don't know if Tola has anything else to add.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think everything you said. The only thing I'm going to add is I don't know what that okay, KK. I have to zoom in to know that's a registered trademark. When you zoom out, it kind of looks like a gray dot. So I was thinking was a registered trademark logo. But I agree with everything you said.
Okay. All right. Cool. Go ahead, Tola.
Yeah. Abiodun. You see, the same thing I said about the last one. It's too literal, and then you're emphasizing the wrong thing, and you're emphasizing something that was not in the brief. You understand? Something that was said in discussion, but then we need to ask: is it important to the brief? And that's where when you meet with a client, there's a lot that will be said in discussion, but then you need to be able to separate what's important to the design and what is not. You need to be able to sieve information. So you see, it's literal here. This looks like a rock climbing company. Like if they make gear for people that go mountain climbing, which is not what this company does. You understand? Or this organization does. So very simply, it's too literal. It's emphasizing something that is not really important to the brief or to the design in the long run.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry for the break in transmission. I think I missed a bit of what you said, but I caught the part where you said it was too literal and definitely had nothing to do with the brand and the brief that was given, right?
Yeah, exactly.
More or less. Okay. So Abiodun, just take that to heart. Let's try to use the brief to get our information on what we're going to do. More or less. I mean, even when you look at the logo, even if you want to take the icon on its own, it doesn't say hope. It says climbing, which has absolutely nothing to do with the brand. So let's move on to the next one. And if I will just continue, same idea goes on here. Because what we have here is an icon with two carabiner hooks interlocking together. I mean, visually interesting, but does it fit the personality of the brand? Does it fit the brief that was given? Not so much. Very interesting typeface here. Very, very interesting typeface, but it's also a little too curvy. It seems like if it was like a child's brand, like a clothing line for kids or a company that makes cartoons, perhaps this could be very interesting as a typeface choice. But in this case, we have something that has ended up being, on one hand, too literal, and on the other hand, just a little too playful. In my yeah. That's it.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. This one is by Olashibomi Emmanuel. All right.
Emmanuel. Olashibomi Emmanuel. What I like the most about this design is he's one of the few people that have decided to go all caps, and I think that kind of works for the personality and the strength that I feel the brand should exude. That very strong typeface. You can see it from a mile. You understand? You can see it through dust. You can see it through flames. It's strong. You understand? It's strong. And that's where you need to kind of simulate what it's like in the world. And it's an interesting job being a designer. Sometimes if you want to work on a logo that for a organization that operates during war, then you might just want to watch a film on war and just see what that scenario kind of looks like. And you see that that's why we talk about these thin typefaces. Nobody's going to see that. You understand? You want something because it's not clear blue skies in the world. It's dust and fumes and things like that that will obstruct your seeing. So you need something that is as strong as this for people to see. The icon, not bad, not bad, not bad. I'm not as crazy about the icon as I am about the typeface, to be honest with you. I like the contrast. I like the contrast of the colors. The yellow and the black contrast well nice. The icon is not bad. It's simple at most. Do you understand? I don't know what it's trying to say. Maybe it's a location kind of thing, which would work also for stuff like this. I think altogether it's a good design in my opinion.
So I think really good points. I also want to agree with the choice to go all caps. Really, really, really interesting. But other than that, I think you've covered everything. Okay, so this one is by Cav Digital. Very interesting icon. We also see the all caps for the typeface. And we see this kind of abstract K for the icon. My first thought is an interesting composition at first look, but I wonder if the typeface and the icon match. The colors are great. I really, really like the colors, really good. But does this icon and does this typeface really match? One of the first things you can use is the thickness of this and the way it doesn't match. It shows that it doesn't match. Just the thickness, the disparity between both thicknesses is so apparent. One, second of all, there's a lot of curviness and flimsiness to the icon, and the typeface is more solid, bold, standing strong, and edgy. So those are my original thoughts. So we can move on, except if Tola had something to add.
No, I think you've said it because the first time I saw this logo, I like the all caps as you said, but the first time I saw this logo, I knew something didn't match in my mind. But I think you've articulated it very well. So now that I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, right. Do you understand? The icon and the typeface don't really match in terms of the weight of the strokes and the curviness of the icon and the straight lines of the typeface. So yeah, you're right.
Okay. All right. So
But the
good.
colors are wonderful. I like the
The
colors a lot.
colors are fantastic. I really, really like the colors. All right. So let's move on. Okay. So I think that is all the selections that we have to critique today. This is the last one. I hope it's been really helpful. I think it has been really helpful. And if I were to summarize, the major points that we pointed out was the need to really focus on the brief. What was said in the brief? What is the personality of the brand? And making sure to use that as a guide, as a constraint when you are designing. That's the first part. The second point was to make sure that you are not going too literal with the name. You're not going too literal. That's a very solid point. And then the third point is in the technical execution of your work. That's why we're giving a whole week. Try to explore your idea as well as possible so that the resulting work can be as strong as it can be. Tola, any last words before we jump into the pick of the week?
I think you said it all. I think you said it all. Definitely.
Cool. All right, so we're going to do the pick of the week, and the pick of the week is when the mentors select a logo that stands out to them. So now don't think like this is the best logo or we're trying to give first place or second place. No, this is just select logos that have been chosen by the mentors to highlight certain things. All right. So Tola, you're gonna go first for the pick of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. This is my pick of the week. This design from Victor Oga. I like the fact that it's very bold. It's very bold, very confident. He has not gone all caps. He has gone all lowercase, and it makes the brand very friendly. You understand? And that's the thing. He has been able to communicate strength and also approachability just by doing that, where he communicates strength in how bold and confident the typeface is, but then it's approachable because he has used lower text, lower, what do you call it, case lettering. And I really like that. I like the icon. I like the icon because I didn't see it coming, but it has this budding plant, and that just signifies life and hope. And the angle just works really well. The contrast between this and the typeface, they contrast each other well, but they work very well together. I like the fact that he has taken away that dot on the eye. I think that's just brilliant. And I think those are just small things you do where he has kept that line consistent because he realized that that eye kind of makes it's not at the same height with the B and the K, and then the I will just be on the height on its own. So he just took that out to make a consistent height of all the other characters that are not extending up. So it gives the eyes kind of, it's very balanced when you look at it. And I can just see it working in mock-ups. I can see the icon working on its own. I can see it working with Red Cross and standing its own ground, not looking like Red Cross. So I absolutely love this design, and there's so much to learn from it.
Okay. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. I completely agree. Very, very visually pleasing to the eye as well. And this is Tola's pick of the week. Okay, so my pick of the week is this logo by Newell Creatives by Ibinola. I hope I've not damaged your name. One of the things that would strike you about this logo is the boldness of it, especially the icon. And so it's both a gift and a curse in the sense that the icon is so bold that it takes away from the typeface. And so you can see that it would work well on its own. It's really bold, it's red, so it demands the attention of the onlooker, which is really important, especially in the context of where this logo would be used. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think I really like the direction of going all caps, because it just speaks of a certain seriousness to the brand. And so I think my point that I want to make is that, especially with Tola's pick of the week, Tola's pick of the week was lowercase. My pick of the week is all caps, but somehow they were able to really do logos that are so different, but capture kind of like the same idea. So yeah, that's my pick of the week. Tola, I don't know if you have any comments about the pick of the weeks this week.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with this one. There's something about it. I can see it on on a helmet or on a vest or stuff like that, and you would recognize it immediately. It stands out a lot. Yeah, I definitely agree with you that you could communicate different things in different ways, whereby you could look serious, like you really mean business, even when you are using uppercase or lowercase um, characters.
Yeah. Okay, so sounds good. Perfect. Now we're going to reveal the challenge for the week, and that is this. So Tola, do you want to talk us through the challenge of the week and what the design the participants are expected to deliver at the end of this week?
Okay, all right. So first of all, let me thank everyone for taking part in this just concluded design brief that was given. You all did a good job, and I just hope you can take corrections and apply it to this one. Now, as I'm going to read the brief, remember, we want the brief to guide us, and we have to dissect the brief to know what is important to build on. So this is for a brand called Saint and Rascals. Saint and Rascals. I must emphasize that we are using ampersand here and not AND. So I wouldn't want anybody to design with AND. This is the registered name of the business. So we are working like this is the real client, Saints and Rascals. The description is a clothing brand for little boys between the ages of 2 and 5. They make casual and formal clothing and accessories. The brand name is inspired by the duality of little boys' characters, where they can be adorable 1 minute and troublesome the next. They want this quality to be captured in their brand. So the logo must express the contrast between Saint and Rascal. So basically, there's a clothing brand for children, but not just any child, male children between the ages of 2 and 5. Now, if anything you know about 2-year-olds, especially males, there's something called the terrible twos. You understand? So they can throw tantrums very easily, and they can be up to mischief, and this can extend into them being 5-year-olds. And at the same time, they can be very adorable. You understand? So the same boy that can walk into a shopping mall with his mom or his dad, and they go, "Oh, such a cute boy! I like what he's wearing." 5 minutes time, he could be rolling on the floor, throwing things around, and just throwing a tantrum because he's not getting what he wants, and they are escorting you out with your child. You understand? So that's kind of duality we are looking at here. You understand? So Saints and Rascals is a clothing company. They make casual wear and they also make formal wear for guys. So they could make in a tux or they could make in dungarees. You understand? For guys, for little children, for boys, and they want their logo to reflect duality and high contrast. High contrast. That's very important. The way the names are high contrast saints and rascals, very contrasting. They want the logo to be very contrasting elements, two contrasting elements. So you could express high contrast in different ways. You could express it with typeface, high contrast, where you have one typeface this way and the other that way, or a high contrast can also be black and white. That's high contrast. Or with symbols like fire and water. Those two things are high contrast. Or with just objects, figures, an ant and an elephant is high contrast. You understand? So you need to think, how do you want to express this company's high contrast? But the most important thing is high contrast used harmoniously. So even when you are using high contrast, they shouldn't look like, oh, they don't match. You understand? So it should be used harmoniously. Remember, it's the same 5-year-old or 2-year-old that is adorable, that is a rascal, or can be throwing a tantrum. The same, it doesn't leave that one body. So you see, they live in harmony in that one body. So, and that's the way your logo too should be, whereby you can see the contrast, but they work together well. You understand? And that's what we want you to focus on this brand. Remember, it's a clothing brand. So think of what it goes on tags, it can be embroidered on dresses or on shirts. It can be, just think of how it can be used as a clothing brand, and let this brief guide you.
Okay, so really clear description by Tola. Like we always say, today, immediately after this call, we're going to post this image in the group so everyone has a copy of this brief. We are going to work on this brief from now till Friday when you will drop your submissions. So don't drop your submissions before Friday or after Friday. Drop your submissions only on Friday so that everyone can get it. We're also going to put this on our Instagram page. So if you need to just quickly check that as well. But yeah, that is it. After the call, Tola and I are going to be in the Telegram group to answer any questions that any person may have about the feedback that we're giving today, or a question about perhaps even the challenge that we have going into week 1. So yeah, we'll be in the chat room for 30 minutes to answer any questions that you have. So please drop your questions there so that we can tackle them. Finally, the video, the recording of this video will be posted in the group sometime at the beginning of the week, so that if you missed all or a part of this live feedback session, you will be able to watch it again. All right, so that's it from me. Really happy and excited that everyone is participating in this year's Logomarch. Really good work so far. Really good, effort by every single person. Something I would like to point out is a couple of people have done case studies and posted them on Instagram. If you do so, please tag us at logo.march. That's our Instagram handle. And Tola and I, occasionally we go through and we leave comments on the case studies, on the posts, on the elements. Just, it's more than just a Telegram group. We also go around on Instagram to leave comments and to engage with participants in this challenge. So yeah, we encourage you, if you have the time and you are able to build out a case study, then please do so. Right. But in the absence of anything else, really, really looking forward to seeing what you come up with on Friday. Remember that there's going to be a live Q&A on Wednesday on Instagram. So let's be reminded about that. And all the best with this week's challenge. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. All right. Good night, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.